Okay, so we are recording. Okay, so today we are covering the Major Arcana. And as we talked last time, we were covering the whole deck, and a tarot deck is 78 cards. So the first part of the cards is the Major Arcana, which goes from 0 to 21. And those are the ones we will cover today. And then we have the Minor Arcana that is divided into 4 suits. We have the Wands, the Swords, the Cups, and the Pentacles, or coins, depending on the deck. And also we have the Court cards, or the People cards, which are usually divided into the Page, the Knight, the Queen, and the King. And they are within the same suits, like, again, Wands, Swords, Cups, and Pentacles. We will be covering the Minor Arcana in the next session in April, so don't worry about that. But definitely, stay tuned if you want to learn more about those types of cards. This class is all about Major Arcana. And if you remember what I said in the previous class, the Major Arcana are our life lessons. So when we are talking about life lessons, we are talking about very important segments in our life. Anytime we get this kind of card in a reading, we take it as it's a life lesson, it's a karmic lesson, so we have to pay a lot of attention to that reading. And we will see this Major Arcana is always covering the hero's journey. So it starts with the hero being born, and then it ends with the completion. And as we know, everything is cyclical or cyclical. So we will start again, but we have to go through all the stories that the hero's journey has to tell. And that journey, it's compressed into the Major Arcana. So starting with the Major Arcana, we have the Fool. And the Fool, I know you met him last time because he was one of the cards that I was showing. But when we look at the Fool, we can see a person that is in a new beginning. Sometimes we can see the person being born. That is one of the Fool's sort of like progressions. But also it could be any time that you start something new. So when we start something new, we have to have that eagerness, that wanting to jump, that wanting to start. And usually when we start something new, we don't have a lot of baggage. So when we look at this card, we can see that the Fool only has a very small bag where he carries the most essential things that he needs for the journey. And then he has the pet companion. And he's looking up. He's looking at the sunny day. Everything is shining. He's very excited, really very positive about the journey ahead. Not thinking a lot about the risks, because if you think about the risks, you will not take that step that brings a new beginning. So he has to be a little foolish. And that's where the name comes from. Like, we have the Fool there. But again, he is full of excitement. He's looking forward to his new beginning. And he's not saying he's about to fall into he's at the edge of a cliff and he will fall down. But in that Fool, it's the falling, it's a new beginning. So definitely the Fool is the start of the journey. This is a wanting to start something new. As he starts walking and he falls into this cliff, and sort of like Alice in Wonderland, falling into the rabbit hole, he gets to the next person in the journey and he meets the Magician. The Magician is the first person that the Fool meets in the journey. And the Magician is the one that provides every tool that the Fool needs. So we have in this card, if you can see, the Magician has every element from the Minor Arcana. It has the Wands, it has the Sword, has the Cups, and it has the Pentacles, or the coin. So it has all the elements that he needs to be able to create his own reality. He is also connecting the above with the below, making the connection that whenever we have an idea, it starts with our thinking of the above, and then we bring it down into the manifestation of this world. And it's also pointing the same situation with like pointing up and pointing down, like bringing down those ideas, bringing them to manifestation. So what the magician gives the fool is all the tools the fool needs for this journey. So he can be successful. He can manifest everything that he needs. It provides every instance or everything that he needs in order to be able to be successful in the material, like bringing ideas into the material world. But that is not all. And so he keeps walking, the fool keeps walking, and he meets the high priestess. The high priestess gives the other side of the story, because where the magician gives the practical and the material, the high priestess gives the intuition and the spiritual. So when we look at the high priestess, we see the woman sitting on her throne. She has a book on her lap, and that's the book of knowledge. She knows the mysteries of the world, and she provides the fool what the magician was missing, which is that connection with the higher self, that connection with the higher realm. So she does give the balancing of the light and the shadow, and she connects the two together so the person can be whole. But she does know that the person has a shadow side. We do have those lower vibration emotions. We have, the jealousy, the anger, the resentment, the vengeance. All those energies are in the dark side, or not in the dark side, but also in the, the shadow side. And then you have all the energies from the light, like the happiness, the joy, the excitement. So she can balance it all, and she knows that all those emotions are needed for the person to be whole. So she teaches the fool that story. She teaches the fool, like, you don't need to negate the shadow. You don't need to negate those things that are essential for you. So definitely the fool keeps walking, and now he has in his tools all the things that the magician provided for the manifestation, those laws of attraction, those different things that you need to bring your ideas into reality. But also now he has the trusting of his intuition, which is also essential. When he keeps walking, and if we were to take the fool as a child, the fool meets the mother. And the mother figure in the Rider-Waite is the Empress. The Empress is that all-giving, all-providing, all-nurturing person. When we look at her, she's sitting on her throne. She's very abundant. Some of the cards in different decks, they portray her as pregnant, because that is the idea of, like, she is very fertile. She is the provider. She gives everything to the fool. So definitely, like, you can see her as, the mother figure. But also, if you were thinking about the idea of the fool being you in a journey where you are going through a new beginning, you could definitely think about her as being, if you are a female, being you, like empowered and really fertile and filled with a lot of ideas and a lot of new things. Or you can think about it being like a person that is providing you those things, providing you the nurturance that you need. So the fool meets his mom, or, the person that is helping him with the fertility, or, the proper ground for his idea or his journey to continue. As he keeps going, when there is a mother, there is a father. So that's where the emperor comes in. And the emperor is the one that brings a lot of like the structure for the fool. It teaches him how.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
I didn't think you could hear me.
Yes, we can. Hi, Randy.
Hi.
I will put you on mute just in case you need to talk, and then if you have a question, we can unmute you. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So these things happen when we are live. So we have the emperor, and the emperor is, like I said, the one that provides those rules. If you are keen on astrology, I would say the emperor is sort of the Saturn, the one that puts the limits and that says, well, in my house, these are the rules, and you either follow them or you can go. So definitely that is the energy of the emperor. So in then, like, the fool has met the nurturance of the empress with the rules or the regulation from the emperor. As he continues walking, of course, if we are thinking about a child, the child goes to school. So when he goes to school, he meets a Hierophant. The Hierophant, when we look at this card, it's all about society. It's all about the rules that it takes for you to be part of the tribe, to be part of these traditions, this society, and the things that you need to convey with. If you want to be like if you want to be an outcast, of course, you don't need to follow these rules. But again, most of us try to comply with it and try to adapt ourselves to be able to fulfill the rules that society puts for us. So definitely this is the area where the fool really goes to school, or it's initiated into society, and he's part of the tribe, and he's trying to fit in. And he still has all the teachings that the magician and the high priestess gave him, and the nurturing and the rules that the parents put. But this is another layer of rules and regulations that the fool has to follow. But of course, as he is getting into society, what is the next normal step? Well, he meets his love of his life, or, the lovers. He meets that person that really sparks him. And when we look at this card, we can definitely see the angel blessing the couple below. And definitely the couple is like complementing each other. It's like the soulmate. But when I see this card in a reading, I do not only see the soulmate per se, but I also see a lot about our values and what our love for ourselves is, and how, I would say, how much we love ourselves is how much we allow the world to love us. So if you don't love yourself a lot, you will get that in return from the universe. But if you do love yourself a lot, then you get the perfect partner. You get the perfect situations coming to you. So not only is it connection, but we all have had our high school sweetheart, or, that type of connection. And that is what happens with the fool. If we are thinking about the fool being in a progression from, baby to like adolescent, and being like all hormonal and like looking for that love. And when the fool feels that way, he needs to prove his value to his woman or his man. But usually, like when we are looking, the Rider White is a very patriarchal tarot deck. So the story is very based on the fool, who most of the times is a man. But we can take it as the heroine's journey and make the fool a woman. But usually he needs to prove that that power, or like look very like good for his woman. So when he does that, what happens is like he goes into battle, because that's what the male dominating culture says, like, we go into battle, but then we are successful. We conquer in the battle, and we come back as a chariot. When we look at the chariot, this is the part where the fool has come and he's successful. He has conquered, and if we look a little deeper, he has conquered the shadow side and the light, and he's balancing the whole individual, so he can move his, chariot forward in success because he has attained some wholeness. So we can see that. He's also very happy. People are saying, yeah, you did it. And his woman is extremely excited about how he is, the winner of this battle. So definitely when we look at this card in a reading, we are seeing success. We are seeing positive movement forward as well. If you are stuck somewhere and this card comes up, you do want to say, like, I need to figure out how to get myself out of this rut and move forward. And usually this card means that there is a blessing in that you are going to be moving in the right direction. So definitely it's a very positive card for you to have. As he moves and he's happy with that, now he found his strength, right? He found, like, he knows that he can go into battle. He knows that he can be successful. He knows that he has everything he needs to manifest his dreams because he has met with the magician and the high priestess. So he's like really empowered. And in that empowerment, he finds his strength. He finds the way, like, okay, I can tame my inner monster as well as the outer monster, because the inner monster is only a reflection of what the outer monster is coming for. So definitely, like, he is like taming that lion. And when we look at the picture, we can also see a little bit of the symbology that's coming along with this deck. Is that we have the infinite sign. So it's like infinite strength for you. Like, you have all you need to be able to tame that lion. And the lion is usually a symbolic way of, like, maybe the ego, or the ego in the most challenging way, or maybe most negative way. But the fool knows that he can tame it. He can, like, he has the strength and the perseverance to be able to conquer his inner lion, or inner, monkey, as I call it, like that one that tells him, oh, you gotta go do this and that, and like he can control that. So as he keeps moving, he finds himself in a period where he has gone into battle, he has conquered, he has realized his strength, but now the question becomes deeper into, like, what is his purpose? Because he's happy with his love, like he has the lovers, he has experienced that, he has experienced success, but there is more in the story than just having a partner or just being successful in his profession. He wants something different. He wants something else. And maybe he is looking for, what is my legacy? What am I leaving behind? What's my purpose? Why am I here? So that's where he meets the hermit. He goes into the cave. And as he goes into the cave, he starts questioning himself. And that's where he can find his inner light. And his inner light is portrayed into this lantern. This lantern is not illuminated by the outside, but it is actually illuminated from within, when he finds the answers for those questions that he's having. So definitely, this card, many times people look at it and they think, oh my God, I don't want the hermit. The hermit is like, oh my God, I'm going to be alone. I'm going to die with 40 cats. That's not the real meaning of this card. This card calls you to go into self-assessment. It calls you into going deep within and finding your own answers. And the calling comes from like your spirit, your purpose, your mission. So definitely when we have this card, we are being called to take some time alone and meditate on what's going on in our lives. So we have reached a little bit of like the first almost half of this journey. I want to check if anyone has any questions about the cards that we covered so far. And if you don't want to talk, you can put them on the chat and I will respond as I read them. So you don't have to unmute yourself. But if you feel like you want to post your question in voice and know that we are recording this, just go ahead and unmute yourself. You will find a button when you look at the screen. It's on the left corner and there should be a microphone there. You can unmute yourself. So do you have any questions? If you don't, I'll keep going in the journey. But I want to make sure that I address them. And if you don't want to ask them now, we can look at the end of the story and you can ask all your questions then as well. So as I was saying, he was going into like a journey of like self-realization, self-discovery. And what does he find in that journey? He finds the Wheel of Fortune. And the Wheel of Fortune, for me, is a card of destiny. This is where we find where we belong. This is where the wheel is turning and showing us the direction we have to go. Usually, it also portrays synchronicity. It portrays good luck. And that is also connected with the destiny. Because once you are on your purpose, once you are on your journey, things move very smoothly. Things are very synchronistic. Like you meet the right people, you're in the right place at the right time. So definitely like not only portrays, like it says, Wheel of Fortune, and it brings good fortune to you, but it also brings movement and it also is pointing you in the direction of your spirit, of your calling, and of your mission. And as he goes that way, he will meet justice. And justice is a card that talks about getting whatever you have put in, right? If you planted apples, you are not going to get oranges, okay? It would be weird if you do, and if you do, it's a miracle. But definitely, if you planted apples, you get apples. So justice says, whatever you put in, you're going to get out of. And it is a karmic, situation. So if you are having, a karmic situation around you and something like, oh my God, everything's going wrong, well, start thinking what's going on there? How can you shift it? How can you raise your vibration so you don't get into this, oh my God, I'm spiraling down. And so your actions are getting like a reaction and, down you go, down, down, down. Instead, you can shift it. If you have done all you can, honestly, what justice says is like you will get your reward. In the end, it's going to be a fair dispute. It's going to be a fair trade. So you will get whatever you put in. This card is very important when people are going through legal situations. And if it comes up, usually it implies a fair resolution. It's all about fairness. It's not going to be, okay, you behave bad and then you get a good result. If you behave bad, you may get a bad result. If you behave good, you may get, a good result. And the good result is pretty much ensured with this card if you are definitely like putting your good part in. As he keeps going, he finds himself again stuck. Like he has put a lot of energy into building. He knows what he wants to do. He knows the direction, but now he's stuck. And I feel like this is something that happens to all of us. When we find what we want, sometimes we get in our own way and we don't let the universe help us. And we want it the way we want it the way we think it should be. And that's where the hangman comes, because the story of the hangman is like surrender, trust. You have planted the seeds, you have discovered what you want. Now you gotta surrender and know that the universe has your back. So if you are able to let go of your expectations, if you are able to let go of how you think things should be, that is when this hangman gets illuminated. Because as we look, like he's hanging and he's stuck, but he is illuminated, and it is in that feeling stuck and being okay with being stuck. Maybe things don't go in my time, they go in divine time, and we have to accept that. So once we accept that, that is when we have that illumination. And when we reach that illumination is when change happens. Because it is that illumination that makes us realize that something needs to change. And this is one of the cards that nobody wants to see. The death card, like any reading that I do, most of the people have like, oh my God, who is going to die? Nobody is going to die. Death is just, a change, a transformation. Something needs to go. Something, it's real, like not for your best, and it needs to die so the new can begin. But like the saying says, if you don't close that door, another one will not open. So you cannot have the other door half open, trying to wait for the new door to open so you can close the other one. Unfortunately, that doesn't work, and that's what the Fool learns. With this card, the Fool learns that you need to close the door. You need to die into the things that no longer serve you, so then you can move forward into a new beginning. And as he moves forward, he finds the Temperance. And the Temperance is the card that talks about harmony, talks about balancing. When we look at this card, we can definitely see the angel again. We saw the angel the first time when we were looking at the Lovers, and now we see the angel again. But in this case, there is no people in here, but it is a connection of the waters. It is like the stabilizing of the emotions. It is the feeling like we can go with the flow. We can pass through that hangman. We can pass through the gates of death. And now we can see the light at the other end of the tunnel. And we can see this harmonious being. Not all is said, because when we are in harmony, I don't know you, but some people are drama prone, or they need certain things, and that's why, as I'm talking about angels, the devil comes after the harmonious encounter. And why does the devil come after the Temperance? He comes because we always have those obsessions. We always have those emotions that come up, and our ego tries to dominate us. And that's where this like bondage comes around. We are bonded to our like needs, our expectations, and our fears, and our low vibration energies. So definitely that's where the devil comes in. Many times when we look at the devil in a reading, some people can see him as deception or betrayal or something negative, but also it could be obsessions. He could be the person that overworks, the person that overgives, like any kind of over, usually it's portrayed by the devil. Whether you're giving too much, you're working too much, you're worrying too much, any too much, this is a card that may come up for you. So definitely, it's not one to be feared. It's not about like, oh my God, I'm possessed, or there's demons in my house. That is not the meaning of this card. The meaning of this card is definitely like, where are our obsessions? Where are our, feelings of anger? Where are our cords tied to like maybe the past, maybe things that we have not been able to let go and they are consuming us? That is the meaning of this card. This is the meaning of like, okay, I'm being consumed by my obsessions instead of like letting go and trusting and, knowing that in the end things will be okay and I can let go of those people that hurt me, those people that cause pain, or those that betray me, or those that did something to me, because in the end it's not all about you. And once we learn that, we are like, okay, now I can go, and it's about everyone. So definitely that is one card that brings some energies. And how we break that card, we break it with the Tower. When we are obsessed about something, lightning is gonna come over and break that structure. This is the structure that we obsess about. These are our outdated beliefs, our outdated foundations that no longer serves us, but we are so attached and we are scared of change and the new that we just hold on tight. But when lightning strikes, there's nothing that can happen. So when we see this card, we definitely see a sudden change. We see a sudden vibration shift. Things change overnight. What was before, it's no longer so. So definitely like it is a very fast. And I forgot to mention with the Death card that, again, if you know about astrology, the Death card is associated with the planet Pluto. And that is like a slow transformation. Whereas the Tower is associated with the planet Uranus, which is very fast moving. And then it's like shock. Like you wake up and the world is a different place. So definitely that's what happens to, the Fool. Maybe the Fool found the harmonious way of being in his purpose, but then he started like, oh my God, I want to make more money, I want to do more, and he started obsessing, he started overworking, and now everything is all about work, and his life is out of balance. So here comes the Tower to break some of that and bring him back to like reality. And when he brings him back to reality, he finds again his star. So he finds priorities. And this is sometimes what happens when people have maybe a heart attack, or they have a situation that wakes them up and all of a sudden they're, oh my God, I'm spending my days working and working and working, and I should be spending some quality time with people. Or I'm buying all these things, but actually what I need is experiences and connecting. So definitely there's that wake up moment that happens with the Tower, and that's why we find the star right after, because after that we realign with what our purpose is, with what our spirit wants. And the spirit doesn't want many things, doesn't want all the titles. So it wants really like to share that connection, to share that feeling like he is making a difference or she is making a difference. So definitely that's when he reconnects with that. Okay, I'm here for more than making money and accumulating things. I'm here because I have a purpose. And as he walks around that, we find the Moon. And here's an interesting thing. This card also has some double meanings. Some people see the Moon as deceit, as you are not seeing clear. And some people see the Moon as, intuition and really reconnecting with that high priestess that we talked about in the beginning. So you can see it either way, and it will depend on the cards that you have around it, that they are surrounding. this moon that you will figure out like, okay, we are talking more about like maybe this person is really not seeing clearly, or really this is like you have to trust your gut. You have to trust your intuition. And why is that? Is because when we have a full moon, we don't see very clearly. We just see like under the moon, and we may see shadows that are not there. We may see images that are not there. And that's where the deceit or the, not seeing clear comes from. But when you don't see clear, you have to trust your feelings. And that's where the intuition comes from for this card. So you have to connect with how you're feeling, what your gut is telling you, what your inner compass is saying, and then you can move forward. And as you move forward, you will find the sun. And the sun is that, right? Like shining. Many people say that the little child that's, on the horse in the sun picture is the fool that has been reborn, but this time he has all the knowledge, he has all the understanding from the journey, from all the things that he has gone through. So now he can see clearly, and he is like shining and happy and excited again, once again for the journey. So definitely it's a very happy card, very successful card. When we have it in a reading, we feel like the person has found himself or herself, that they know what they are all about, and they are shining, and their light is shining bright. So they are illuminating all the areas in their life, and they feel like they are really connected. But this is not the end of the journey. We have seen that the Fool is going up and down and up and down, and all these, stories and feelings are happening. So now he once again finds the final judgment. And what is the final judgment? The final judgment is all about taking inventory. What has gone right? What has gone wrong? And where we move from here. It's when we look at the Egyptians, there is a myth that when the person died, they went into the chamber and their heart was going to be weighted against a feather. And if the heart was heavier than the feather, the person had not done very good in their life. They didn't do very good deeds. So, a monster, I think it's part hippopotamus and crocodile, like a monster was going to eat them alive. But if the heart was lighter than the feather, they had done good, and so they could move through, the other life, or, the summer land. So definitely there is that energy with this card. And when we look at the image, again, we do see the angel blessing, but in this case, it's blessing the corpse that are rising from the dead, because they have gone through all their self-inventory and they have shed whatever they didn't need anymore. And now they are like, okay, now I see what I accomplished, and now I can be reborn because I have left behind anything that doesn't serve me anymore. And as they do so, they find the world, our last card. The world is a card that talks about completion. It talks about we made it. And many people say that the woman, or it looks like a woman, but most of the cards in tarot are very like gender neutral. We don't know really if they are boy or girl. They are like, the drawings are very gender neutral. But in here, it looks like a girl, but many people say that what is covering a male genitalia. So it's like a hermaphroditus or something like that. And I don't know, I cannot even pronounce that. But it's a person that is complete, it's whole. It has female and male together. It has everything that they need. And why is that? And as we look, it's like surrounded by a circle, full circle, and it's connected with all the elements around. So it's definitely like the picture of like completion, and it's the end of the journey. So by the end of the journey, you have captured all the areas that you needed. You have captured everything that you had to learn. And now you're ready for a new beginning, right? Because we know, like, as everything ends, there is a new beginning that starts, and that's, you know, the cycles of life. But when we get to the world, there is that feeling of like, okay, I have survived this journey. I have gone through the ups and downs, faced my demons, found my power, found my strength, found my connections. Now I know what I want. I have my legacy. I know what I did right, what I did wrong. And now I can be like fully embodied. Some people look at this card and another meaning when you have it in a reading could be traveling. Many people think like the world and you travel. It could be that meaning, but also it means completion. It means the end of the journey and feeling like you made it. You arrived to the other side safe. So definitely that is the end of this hero's journey. And as he ends, he starts again and becomes a fool in another area. So now I will open it up for any questions that you may have about the journey, about the cards, about anything that comes up about the hero's journey. So do we have any questions?
Not for me.
Okay. Good. Okay. Carmen, do you have any questions? If you want, you can type them on the chat as well. I'm looking at the chat. So I can unmute you if you want as well. So Carmen, do you have any questions?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, okay. So I was wondering about the world card. I saw that the person is holding the wands. Are there any other are there swords or anything else in that card, or just the wands?
There's only the wands there, but the way we portray the elements is with the lion that will portray the fire, and then we have, I think it's like an ox that will portray the earth element, and then we have the falcon that is air, and the face will be the swords as well as the mental activity. And that's the way that they portray it. The ones are really like connecting above and below, and like really like bringing down anything that has come in the thought pattern, or like any ideas, and that you can bring them down. But it's not really the ones that we have in the minor arcana. Does that make sense?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, yeah, that's where the elements are around in the different pictures. They portray them different in this world than in the minor arcana, where you have the elements, you have the cups, you have the gold, you have, you know, the swords and the wands. So any other questions? Okay. Okay, ladies, if you don't have any questions, that's it for tonight. But like I said at the beginning, I'm going to be doing minor arcana next month, and then the following we'll be doing the core cards. So each month we will have a webinar, and we will cover, like now we have covered major arcana, we have covered a little bit of like the whole deck. Once we finish with all these areas, we will move into spreads and how to do readings and all the different areas in tarot. But we are trying to build upon each class. And you can, if you're not here, you can watch them. We are recording them, so you can watch them online and then catch up. So by the next class, you have some knowledge about, major arcana. But thank you for being here. Thank you, Carmen. Thank you, Randy. It's been great to have you here. And I hope you join me next month for the minor arcana class. So I hope you have a great night, and I'll see you next month. Bye.